Joining me now is Congressman Ron Estes, a Republican who represents the 4th District of Kansas. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I want to start really quickly on this FISA application process. This is something that's going to come down to the House. Some of your colleagues are looking to make reforms when it comes to that. Where do you stand on that issue?
Yeah, I think we do need some reforms in the process. Obviously, we want to make sure that our country's safe. We want to make sure that that we actually can ferret out and seek out the bad guys. But we also want to make sure that we protect privacy rights, and the responsibility of the government is to make sure that we're doing a good job that before they go out and tape American citizens, that they ought to at least have a good warrant, have a good process to be able to back that up. We want to make sure that there's not any malfeasance in that process.
And we're seeing today reports that, for example, the Congress seems to be united behind a coronavirus spending bill. It's something that last week they said was inadequate in order to kind of meet the demands of this crisis. This week it looks like there is a little bit more unity, bipartisan support for it. But there is some concerns that maybe that FISA bill may be slipped into that. Do you have any knowledge as of yet whether or not that seems to be the case, or if this is going to be a clean type of bill?
Yeah, I don't think, as far as I understand today, the FISA bill is not going to be slipped in with the funding bill. So we're not looking at that happening. We're actually expecting to vote later on today on the spending bill. But I do have some concerns about the spending bill, the way it was brought up. I mean, the president requested $2.5 billion to use this fiscal year and make sure that we address the emergency issues that were there. And as I'm starting to look through the details in the spending bill that's out there, most of the money is being spent in 2021 and 2022, and only about half of what the president requested is being spent in the year 2000 in this fiscal year. So we're still looking through the bill, but I really have some reservations that, one, it's not timely enough, and that obviously the amount of money has just gotten blown up and spreading beyond support for the CDC, and we want to make sure that we're spending our money wisely.
No, I think you're right, because we were looking at the terms of that bill, too. And first of all, it's about at least 3 times as much as the administration asked for in their initial request. And then you look at some of the funding, too. And to your point, some of it looks like it could kind of be dealt with at a later time. For example, 15% of it almost goes to foreign type of research and prevention efforts. I mean, that's all good and all that. But I mean, I think at this point, the things that should be kind of prioritized are things that are prevention here in the U.S., research for vaccine. That is funding that's in that bill. But is there anything else that you would think that the administration can take, or steps that you would like to see the administration take, that is kind of outside of Congress's controls, whether that be more travel restrictions or anything like that?
Yeah, I think the president did a good job early on in terms of addressing travel restrictions. Obviously, there's some concern about what the costs are. There's some concern, and I know Health and Human Services folks are looking at how do we help folks that are uninsured, making sure that they get some medical care so that they don't get sicker and sicker and spread it to other individuals as well, just because they don't have the wherewithal to help seek out medical attention. And when we do an emergency bill like this, we need to make sure we're spending the money for the emergency and spending it in a timely manner. Ideally, you're spending it in this fiscal year. And so that's my big concern with the bill right now, is that there's so much money in there, and it's so much is being spent in the out years. And we really haven't even done the appropriations for fiscal year 21 yet. And we can have a lot of avenues to look at that as opportunities to fund whatever issues continue to come up with this virus.
And I hate to jump back and forth here, but I do want to touch on something regarding that FISA application, or the whole scandal, I guess I should say once again. Your colleague in the upper chamber, Senator Lindsey Graham, has talked about, for example, holding depositions and testimonies behind closed doors with some officials to kind of get to the bottom of that as well. But would you like to see, now that we've kind of moved on past impeachment, would you like to see Senate Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham or some of your other colleagues in the upper chamber kind of exercise more of their oversight when it comes to some of these things, whether it be the Ukraine scandal, as we've kind of gone and passed to, whether it be the FISA applications, the IG report, things like that, since you don't necessarily have that type of power in the lower chamber right now?
Yeah, we don't have that authority to do that in terms of the way that's structured today. I mean, the risk and what we've seen going through this whole impeachment fiasco that was brought forth on the House and the Senate is that there was some what looks like apparently abuse of the FISA system in terms of starting out and sending some false information that got the FISA warrants to start with. So that's the issue of concern with the whole FISA process, so we make sure that one, we do keep our country safe, that we do look at and seek out folks that want to cause harm to our country, but that we also protect American citizens and protect our privacy.
Yeah, and it looks like Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham is going to at least continue with those closed-door type of testimonies that he's been talking about. He says that he wants to eventually kind of work up to higher-level officials, but, I mean, this is kind of a topic that we've heard kind of come and go several times over the past couple of years. So whether or not he follows up on that, I guess, is yet to be determined. But Congressman Ron Estes, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.